Welcome to the first video in a new series I'm going to be doing here, and it's going to be exposing some Psyop origins in my own life. So if you followed my channel, you know I've been mapping the Red Triangle network, you know, the group of online personas involving, or rather the online personas involved in doxing, threats, fake beefs, and ritual intimidation. But today I'm going deeper. This isn't just about recent distractions like, you know, Donovan's fake mugshots or Bluffy's court doc fraud. This is about actually the entire architecture, a multi-decade system that infiltrated my life, sabotaged my health and opportunities, and pretty much steered me into isolation and degeneracy. So I'm going to just start from the beginning here. It was roughly 2002. So why I'm starting in 2002 is because that's when the patterns first emerged. But I'll connect it to a pivotal moment in 2017, the blood over intent ritual that marked my entry into their fringes, at least online. So why do I start here? Yeah, because pretty much understanding the foundations shows how the Red Triangle is just the tip, so to speak, built on years and years of grooming. I'll use timelines, receipts, and my own experiences to map it out. No speculation, just facts. And if this resonates, please feel free to subscribe and all that stuff. So this series, it's going to build, you know, video by video and all that. So, you know, let's begin, I suppose. And, you know, just want to go over the early foundations of the grooming and setup stuff. Yeah, because you know, my story starts with you know, what seems like innocent opportunities. I'm gonna actually start here years you know, 2001 to 2008. That was the early foundations of the grooming, right? 2001 to 2008, right? So my story starts with what seemed like innocent opportunities, but looking back, you know, they were setups. In summer 2001 or 2002, roughly, I think it was summer of 2002 because it was basically when I entered middle school, so that would have been 6th grade, and 9/11 happened when I was in 6th grade, so that would have been fall to, yeah. So this happened when I was 11, summer 2002 pretty much, at age 11, and my dad pushed me into a sister city program to Japan. He hyped it as a big deal, a perfect opportunity to travel, you know, and, you know, I prepped mentally for a full year because I kept being told what a big deal this was supposed to be, you know. And the trip took me to Hokkaido and Toyota City in Japan. Yeah, so I was staying with a family tied to Georgetown, Kentucky's Toyota plant. It felt exciting at the time, but turned traumatic. A teacher guide, pretty much, that was leading the trip, screamed at me and basically accused me of being the biggest retard loser for a travel screw up amid, the post 9/11 restrictions and stuff like that. So, this was my first taste of elite exposure mixed with humiliation, symbolically, planting, the narrative that, I was beneath all these people, so to speak. That's what they were trying to do with that. So, yeah, fast forward to, 2003 now. I was, age 13, and my half sister, named Rebecca, pretty much, she had married her husband in 2001, but his name was Manuel. And pretty much he took me to this driving range just outside Washington, D.C. And I just started hitting golf balls when I was like 13 at this driving range. Just pretty much actually in Alexandria, Virginia, right outside Washington, D.C. in Fairfax County and all that. And her husband, Manuel, he got me addicted to golf. And he just started at pretty much I believe it was his like early 40s, but was hyped up as this natural talent, impressive, rich, good man, good connections, money, and all that. And my family was always hyping him up as, like the standard of a good man or whatever, and just always, hyping up his status and whatnot. So, I became obsessed with golf or whatever, and, I played pretty much obsessively, from that point, going forward. I pretty much just wanted to be away from people, out in nature, so to speak. Because I wanted to get away from all these, people that had been mistreating me for years, like bullies or whatever, and just people that I couldn't relate to, and stuff like that. So, so I played obsessively, was away from people, out in nature, but, the golf courses, especially at that time, pre-2010 or whatever, they used very toxic types of pesticides on these courses. So, and the courses, they were loaded with these pesticides, endocrine disruptors that, could have easily, for instance, like stunted my height and contributed to gyno from hormonal imbalance, pretty much amplified by poor diet, like amplified by junk food. And it didn't really help that my parents or mom or whatever fed me Bisquick pancakes every morning growing up and all that. So, and all kinds of other fast food addictions and junk food addictions. So, by 2004, golf had led me to this fake friend or whatever. His name was Hidemichi Suzuki. And he just randomly out of nowhere approached me one day when we were waiting for our class to begin. Like, I think it was English class in, freshman year of high school. And so, so this guy, this Japanese guy, Hidemichi Suzuki, he also got me like more obsessed with golf, because he was a member at the Champions Trace golf course, him and his family, which is like Keene Trace golf course or whatever, like the nicest golf course pretty much in Lexington. And, he'd always take me out there and try to, influence me to be, addicted or whatever to, money and status, that type of idea. So, yeah. So, Hidemichi's family flexes actually flipped to abuse. This was the relay, like early setups, conditioning, money, elitism over truth. That was kind of the idea, right? Is to, make me value money over truth. So, like 2007, 2008, amid high school trauma, like I got suspended from high school for, some teacher saw me buying Adderall or whatever in the stairway or whatever at the school, Paul Lawrence Dunbar High School. Yeah, I almost got expelled. Actually, the lawyer said I was pretty much guaranteed to get expelled or whatever, and then but somehow I was reinstated and did a bunch of homework and caught up, right? But Manuel, he took me to Pebble Beach that fall of 2007, shortly after I had received the suspension. So he took me to Pebble Beach, and all that stuff, because pretty much like I went to visit them. They had moved to Northern California, the Bay Area, and I had gone there, and like my family was like, oh yeah, you just went through all this trauma or whatever, and your sister and her husband want you to visit Northern California, just like the Bay Area, just outside San Francisco and all that. So I visit, right? And they take me to Monterey, right? And they tell me, oh, we're going to play this course or whatever, But then, like, they said I was going to play some course like Spanish Bay or something, which is a nice course. But then out of nowhere, they come up with this big surprise. And they say, oh, no, you're actually going to play Pebble Beach Golf Course, where, like, they play the all big tournaments and the majors and all that stuff, like the Pebble Beach Pro-Am. And it's, like, world famous course. And it was, like, $500 or something to play there, even back in 2007. So yeah, Manuel took me to Pebble Beach, and yeah, pretty much like we were at this resort or whatever, and out of nowhere, my sister Rebecca, she just said, "Don't you want to be rich now? Don't you see how good it is to be rich or whatever?" And then we were in the hotel room. And we watched Superbad or whatever, that movie with Seth Rogen. And it was basically just like promoting degeneracy and drinking and all that. And yeah, actually for the first time, a girl named Laura showed interest in a study hall class I had. It was senior year, by the way. Yeah, senior year of high school. I was 17 at this time. So, they surrounded me by fake friends, right? This guy named Mike Briggs and Donnell, and they pretty much bullied me and gave me these names like Wiener, which was like they were degrading my like last name, which is Wider, so they called me Wiener or whatever to degrade me, right? And that girl started calling me Wiener or whatever, and yeah, so anyways, I took this girl, Laura, to prom, and she didn't engage with me, but, she didn't want to, do anything, like, she didn't want to kiss me or anything else, right? But she didn't engage with me, but she did fool around with Donnell in my car as I drove around town after the prom, and yeah, it was pretty depressing, right? Especially at the time, like, when I was 17 and all that, and vulnerable. And I actually obsessed over blowing it for years in my 20s and early 30s. You know, looking back, it was a setup to humiliate and isolate me. So now I'm gonna speed the timeline up a little bit, like 2008 to 2017, with other stuff. So that foundation led to deeper control, pretty much. You know. So you know, like I went to college and I really couldn't get any jobs or anything, even though, like they got me into more degeneracy and bar drinking and whatever in college, and wrecked my health and organs and whatever by binge drinking and all that, and just more humiliation rituals where they were conditioning me to be like the smallest and the weakest and the dumbest. That was pretty much their whole ordeal there. So, I was just more or less going to college or stuck at minimum wage jobs even shortly after college. So, but, my half sisters were always flexing their, my half sisters, whatever, were always, flexing their six figures or whatever, even back in like 2005, they claimed to be making like 100K basically. But actually they haven't reached out to me in like years. So yeah, anyways, so the model was, rich without help. Yeah, travels pretty much felt like escape. But anyhow, in 2016 actually, like 2016 Japan, like I returned to Japan, right? And actually I had gone there in like 2006 to visit, when I was a junior in high school, I went to visit Hidemichi's family in Japan because they invited me there and all that, and they showed me their big mansion in Okazaki City, Japan, and all that. So yeah, and gave me like $500, which was the most money I had ever had at that time. So more conditioning into, selling. They wanted me to sell out for money and basically be, degenerate, right? And just be a complete morally bankrupt, degenerate type of person, right? Who only valued money. So, but, in 2016, after working ESL in Japan for like a few years in, Korea and China, and I got really sick actually at that time. My health started collapsing due to, the pretty much drinking and eating unhealthy and being in toxic, polluted environments like the city I was living in China was heavily polluted, lots of EMF and obviously air pollution, noise pollution. I mean, my whole health became destroyed. So, yeah. But in 2016, Hidemichi Suzuki had reached out to me again and invited me to Japan, where he said, "Oh, I'll help you get a job in Japan and you can live at my family's mansion in Okazaki City and heal yourself from all that, how sick you feel or whatever." So, yeah, so pretty much, I worked the job there in Japan and all that. I taught English in Japan, right? And, this is all very detailed stuff here. I'm just kind of giving an overview, though. So anyways, in late 2016, I pretty much realized this whole world was a scam, and because of the WikiLeaks and Trump stuff going at the time, I quit my job and took my whole life savings to Penang, Malaysia. And actually before then, you know, like I had to leave Hidemichi Suzuki's mansion in Okazaki City because of other setups where they were pretty much you know, they'd run other psyops, so I was run out of the mansion pretty much, and I had to live in a share house with a bunch of perps who were gaslighting me and harassing me and all that. So anyways, I went to Malaysia, Penang in May 2017, and I was scammed out of 20K, my whole life savings, by perps pretty much. And by that time, my health was so rough that I'd been doing so much fasting. I came back to Lexington, and actually it was Manuel, of all the people. He kept telling me, you gotta come back to Lexington. So I was back in Lexington, Kentucky, and I was 105 pounds. And I was starting the raw primal diet actually in June 2017 for healing. Well, not the raw primal, but I started mostly eating raw animal foods to heal from all this poisoning, right? And yeah, so in May 2017, in the, I'd been watching all these videos like about blood over intent or whatever from that Quasi-Luminous channel and that, cult on YouTube and all that. And this was May 2017, like I did the blood over intent, and I wrote on paper, I intend to bring forth heaven on earth for the benefit of all, and more or less release everyone from bondage and all that. So I posted that on Facebook or whatever, and it triggered attacks, marking my entry into the fringes of these online networks. And marking my entry into their fringes, steering from facts to things such as labeling me like a nut, like because these handlers wanted me to talk about demon clones and all this stuff. And why start the series here? It's the bridge. Early grooming led to this vulnerability. In future videos I'll cover other stuff that happened, like Mario, Arya, Joanne, Aaron infiltrators, and then how they connect to the red triangle distractions. So yeah, so anyhow, I think that's all for this video. I'm gonna get into more detail later, and I can go more detail, but it'll take many hours to describe the in-depth details of everything that happens. So yeah, I think I'm just gonna cut it short here now, or I'm just gonna end the video here. And if there are any questions or anything, please feel free to leave those in the comments. And I will in the future actually do more detailed breakdowns of what happened, but it's gonna take a lot of time to go into detail regarding all of what this network has been doing to me since roughly the last 25 years. So thank you for watching.